Grace be unto you and peace from God our Father and from the Lord Jesus Christ. I was glad when they said to me, "Let us go into the house of the Lord." I'm Father Steve Sellers, and thank you so much for tuning in today for this brief daily message of hope. And my prayer for you, as always, and for our nation and for the world, is that we're able to experience hope in the middle of our lives right now, today, right where we are. There is hope in the world despite what people are saying and what the popular myths are. There is hope in our world today. As long as God is still in charge, and He is, there is hope for us, plentiful hope for Him. I was playing an old song just then called "Will the Circle Be Unbroken?" Probably a 125-year-old song. The early years of the 20th century, this song showed up. It's in the public domain, and the authorship is debated, but it apparently was written by a woman by the name of Ada Habersham, who was writing in response to the death of her mother. And the words of the song are, she's looking around at the table in this earthly life, the table of her family, the way she grew up, and one by one those chairs empty out at the table, and she's saying, is there going to be an unbroken circle in a later, larger life? And of course, that's our hope. Our hope is that it's not based in this world. We lose people all the time to death. And we believe in our faith, and the Lord teaches us that death is not the end. Death is merely a doorway, a passageway into the larger spiritual life, where there is a circle of chairs and the table, and the circle is unbroken in that life, in that world, even though we have empty places at our tables here. Politicians today are making a big thing about how we have places empty at our table now, and we're to despair about that and how sad it is. And yes, it is sad, but it's not the last of the story. The story has another verse to it, a verse where we all are gathered at the Lord's table in an unbroken circle. And in that regard, I want to just say a word about how, we get through life by having people who teach us things. Our families have our first teachers in them. Our parents are our first teachers. The church calls that the domestic church. Our parents are our first instructors in the faith, and we learn from them, and often from our grandparents. And then we, in turn, pass that on to those who come after us, to grandchildren and great-grandchildren in turn, so that the circle is unbroken, the circle of teaching. But one of the things we must remember is that our primary teacher is the Lord Jesus Christ. And He is not absent from His table here on earth. There may be earthly family and friends of ours who have gone into eternity with Him, but the Lord remains with us in this life, as He is with those in eternity. The Lord Jesus is not bound in space and time as we are, and He is our teacher. I found a wonderful picture of me from about 50 years ago. I believe this was 1971. Found a picture of me playing in what looks very much to be a scrimmage game, a baseball game. We're not really wearing our uniforms. This was my first year in college, I believe. And I had plenty of teachers back then. My dad was my first teacher in baseball. Everything I learned about baseball, someone showed me how to do it. It's getting harder for teachers to do that now because so much of our classes are taught just like this, over electronic digital means, distance learning. It's very hard to do hands-on teaching over the internet. Now we're getting better at it, and hopefully at some point we'll get back to where most of our students are in face-to-face learning. You can't coach a team online. You can learn things about the sport and about the game and about the rules, but you have to physically have interaction with your teacher for that to happen. And I was thinking of the great Yogi Berra. When he was the manager of the New York Mets. There's a story that's told about him standing at the batting cage trying to instruct a young rookie ball player and how you're supposed to swing the bat to make contact. And Yogi was doing his best in his garbled speech to tell the young man things like, no, put your back foot back, no, your front foot back, your back foot, the other back foot, use your left and the other left hand, put the hand on top. And finally Yogi goes, oh, heck, kid. And he walked out there and said, give me the bat. Just watch what I do. It's how we teach. We do the best we can with our words, and then we demonstrate through demonstration, and then getting the student to go through the exercise. Teaching is so important, and we lose our earthly teachers. The point of the will the circle be unbroken is that we lose those earthly connections that have brought us to this point, but we haven't lost the Lord. And we must continue to turn to Him. Remember that Jesus is with you now. He is your primary teacher. He's left us His Word, His rule book, His book of instructions on how we are to live and how we can follow Him in His way, in His truth. And so today, give thanks for those who are teachers, who have taught you so far. And then through the grace of God, let Him help you teach others, especially about kindness and compassion and mercy and love. Yes, those things are taught to us. They don't come instinctively to us. There is a kernel of goodness in us, but it's marred by original sin. We need Jesus to keep showing us and helping us. And ask Him for His help today in your life. He's right there with you. He's never left you. He's not going to leave you. There may be empty places at the table in your house, but He's there with you. And so the places are all filled with the angels and archangels and all the company of heaven. Remember, He loves you. He's there with you. He's our first teacher, and He gives us the ability to instruct others. May you have a blessed and glorious day, and through His grace, I will see you right here again tomorrow.